Mr. James Scarlett. Do we go again? Do we go again?
Yes, we do. We absolutely do. You, that was the most tentative we go again we've had.
I
You've
feel
got
like,
you've got a couple of days now, and then it is damnation time.
yeah, I mean, it's like, you know that bit in, what's the film, Inception, and Leonardo DiCaprio, he goes down and he meets the guy that's been in his own head for 80 years, and he kind of looks at Leo as if, I kind of recognise that guy, but that's how I'm right now, looking at you across his podcast, like, we done this before, didn't we? But I'm not quite sure why or when. My days are like dog years at the minute. You just get up in the morning, it just goes like, fucking hell, an onslaught of pain and misery, the odd brief fucking victory, then more pain, misery, and then back into the next day. So, aye, that's the reason for the tentative we go again. How about yourself though? You look like a man who's ready to party.
I'm great. I'm having a week off, so I haven't really had any proper time off since the summer. So I'm currently at my parents' house with my family, and just doing nothing really. It's nice.
Brilliant.
So
You
yeah,
need it as well, don't you? And you know what? For being a promoter, especially yourself with like fucking two major outdoor festivals, sometimes a lot of good ideas come to you in your downtime. Like about what you want to do with events or bookings you want to make or something. See when you're just always just like nose to the grindstone, you're a bit like, right, let's get the next task completed. You never really get that time to just feel. I'll often found that as an editor because ultimately, when you're an editor, if you're doing the job right, you shouldn't really have any responsibilities other than being the where the shit hits the fan. And you come up with your best ideas and what you want to do and the direction and helping your colleagues and staff out when you've got a bit of time to take the pressure off. So I hope it's a good week that you've been having while I've been getting
yeah,
absolutely punished.
yeah. It's good to. It's definitely good to step out of the detail. I think we've talked a bunch about how festival booking has got earlier and earlier and earlier and earlier post pandemic. It's just we're supposed to do our job sooner and sooner. And actually, I've this week or last week made two offers for 2026. It feels fucking mad. It's like October 2024. And there's an agent basically saying to me, you make this offer today and you're going to get this band confirmed for 2026. If you don't make this offer today, they're going elsewhere. So you're under pressure. So I feel like all that's really contributed to me not taking any time off since the summer. I mean, we used to sit around in September doing absolutely fuck all, and now September and October is full on band booking and announcements. So yeah, I'm going to take a brief pause and come and have the most fun time in the universe at Damnation.
Good,
Um,
good.
I cannot wait, cannot wait.
The thing is, I mean, for all that good news in your headliner side, though, we've been chatting in the last couple of episodes about the whole, oh, it looks so close to getting a headliner, and then it was about the guy came back saying it was a long shot. It turned out that was bad news in the end. Yesterday, we got told that that band weren't going to be able to reroute their European tour to fit Damnation in, unfortunately, even though the money was right and the offer was right. But again, it just speaks to exactly what you're saying. The point was they came back and says we can't make the major cities work on the weekends where we need to make them work in like Germany or France or Belgium because it's all booked up because everyone at this level now is booked. I mean you're talking I've been 13 months out,
Yeah.
full tours right through Europe, taking up all the availability. And then the panic sets in that everyone's always just trying to get further and further ahead to you. I mean, God knows where you end up. But as you say, you're making bookings now for 2026 and the tail end of 2024, which is just mental. And when does it stop? Is it going to be a case like, we really need to look at 2027 now? Like, how do you even know if that band's going to be? How do you know anything about that band in 3 years' time? You know what I mean? So, fuck, it's a sad one. I was a wee bit myself and Paul last when it came through. We're like, damn it, that one felt very, very close. So, back to the drawing board. It's everything else is looking good, but back to the drawing board with that one.
Yeah, when you've got bands that you think are going to confirm it is real, really disappointing. It's hard. Even with trees, I was so happy with the trees lineup and announcement, but I know I'm the only one who knows the three or four that got away that I thought were going to be on that poster.
Yeah,
And 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 it's not, it wouldn't have been three or four they wouldn't have taken away any of the ones that were already on there. They would have been extras, eh, and you can't help but feel a little bit
yeah.
disappointed that, fuck.
They should have been there too. And the annoying thing with
Yeah,
this, because God knows how this all pans out, but the package it was coming with it looked pretty spectacular. I think, oh, there's nothing like a good package. I love it. Like, that's your Christmas coming when you get a great band and then suddenly it drops in all two bands on you, and you're like, oh, this is wonderful. So,
yeah.
aye, but I'm remaining positive. Things are good. Damnation's in a good spot. I'm looking forward to the weekend. It has been a busy one. I mean, I think I said beforehand there's a bit of like a switch that goes in some tour manager or manager's head sometimes. Like, oh, it's up, but definitely the Monday before the events where it drops a different gear entirely. I mean, Paul's been terrorised all week. Angela's been terrorised all week. Marios has just came back. He was the production manager was out with Municipal Waste on the Cannibal Corpse tour, and then he had the outbreak at the weekend there. So he's really only just got his full focus on this as well. So he's getting terrorised. So and it's like everyone this week, and it's all the. So can we use your heads? And did we say we need the merch there? Because we're going to use you. And where's the parking? And can we get a bus here? And we're not taking a bus anymore. It's going to be two vans. And did you say you were getting hotel rooms? And it's that's every 2 minutes. I'll come off this podcast with another 10 emails in the inbox with that kind of stuff with between the four of us trying to tackle it one way or the other. So aye, it's otherwise it's all good. I'm looking forward to the fun bit yet, getting it there and seeing some live music, which is what it's all about.
Well, the best, I always think the best part is once you've sort of rolled the snowball off the top of the mountain at 3 p.m. on Friday, sorry, you're it's then going and it's going to go no matter what you do, you can't stop it. And then you can start to ease into it. This
Yeah.
bit, this bit is horrible for you. I know how you feel, and particularly the inbox, the knowledge that you can go somewhere for an hour and just come back and the inbox will be back again.
'Cause
And
that's the point as well. She's like, oh, let's go and have a nice plate of pasta with my family. Like, okay, during that moment you're having the plate of pasta, it's fine. But there's the horror film sitting back in your
yeah,
inbox. It's not going away anywhere. It's just like, aye, okay, mate, have your rigatoni. I will be here when you're back. The inbox has got a lot of patience. So it's aye, that's where we're at. I mean, obviously this episode, Damnation a Day, we will chat about the forthcoming weekend, plans for it, plans for the future, and just a bit of a focus on Damnation because it will be you're getting this Thursday, Night of Salvation happens, Friday, Damnation's on Saturday. So it's right at the forefront of our minds. But as of today, I mean, this is what day is it? Tuesday? This is Tuesday, isn't it? So
yeah.
tomorrow, today I went and picked up an electric van from Europa Car and filled it downstairs in my driveway. It is. I'm glad I got a van because it's stuffed. It's absolutely stuffed with towels, beers. I got a delivery date. I mean, look at these things. I mean, sorry for the folk listening only, but the Damnation IPAs,
Fucking
right,
yes.
holy goat, are absolutely spectacular. And I'm really chuffed with this collab we have with Holy Goat. It's a bit like, in a lot of ways, like the Loose Brews. They're like the posh version of beers up in Dundee, and their stuff's great. We're going to have three. Well, we'll talk about it later. But we're going to have three of their offerings and taps. So be sure to get yourself. In fact, I'll have a couple of cans of waiting in the fridge for you, sir, when you get there. So
Amazing. That one, the one with the skull, who did the artwork for that?
So this one's Error design that people recognise from
Yeah,
Russian
it's cool.
Circles,
Yeah.
and I mean he's done posters for Art Tangent, hasn't he?
Yeah, yeah. It's really cool that. I like that.
So I mean, when you get cans of artwork so good, you're a bit like, what am I supposed to do with the can afterwards? I don't want to throw the can away. And they do these sort of half champagne bottles as well. I mean, some of the beers like 10, 11, 12 quid retail to get for the site. And like you finish it, you're like, what am I supposed to do with that? That's nicer than some of the ornaments I've got in my house.
Well, as a 40-something-year-old man, when you're a student, you'd just keep the can, wouldn't you? And you'd have like a shelf full of empty cans in you. I'm trying
Aye.
to do that with Lou's Brews. But my wife's not happy. But you finished the hot sauce. Why aren't you throwing the bottle away? It's like it's
I'll
an
leave
item of merch.
leave a wee tiny bit at the bottom. Like, that's not done. That's not done. You need to leave it in the fridge. Fortunately for me, I don't actually like beer. As good as these are, I don't really like beer. So those two in the other can I've got up there probably sit in my windowsill untouched. I've got a signed bottle of Jack Jägermeister for Carcass up in that windowsill as well. If that was Jack Daniels, it'd probably an empty signed bottle of Jack Daniels on the windowsill from Carcass. So I picked up the van. That's filled with everything. I say passes, an steins, I need to put extra light and a gazebo in there. I mean, the whole shebang. Gonna get up early tomorrow morning and get in my electric van with my brother and head down. When we thought we were being clever and saving the planet and like don't have to pay fuel, we never really thought about the range of an electric van. It's about 20 miles short of Manchester, so we're gonna need to
Ah,
go to some fucking service station and charge for 45 minutes like a pair of fucking hippies. So aye. That and the way down, right? Okay, fair enough. But I guarantee the way back up Monday or Sunday night, I'm going to be devastated up my electric van. And when I'm just there, when I need to get back to my own house, sitting in some fucking Burger King in a roadside. So that's how things are shaping up for me. How about yourself? How's life treating you?
wow, it's good. It's good. In my week off, I've got myself queued up a load of music documentaries
Oh,
that
good.
so a lot of them I'm rewatching. So I watched Fire Festival last night for the second time, probably the third time actually. So that was it's quite. I know you've seen it. It's quite anxiety inducing if you're a festival organizer to watch it because it reminds you how fucking close to the edge the whole thing really is, even if you're not on
I
an
know
island.
when you get to be older guy that basically says, I was going to go and suck a cock for water.
Yeah.
I've won through and says, how far are you willing to go, mate? How much do you love Damnation?
But there's a fire too is coming, isn't it? They're doing an actual festival. So
Yeah.
um
Some people do.
remarkable. And look, anyone who hasn't seen that documentary should watch it. It's on Netflix. But yeah, I so yeah, kind of quiet week for me. There's one thing that really got my goat, which I wanted to just bring up, is that there's this like um some people started doing these posts on different festivals' Facebook groups. And they basically ran a series of surveys in different Facebook groups, and there was one on the 2000 trees, and it basically was like, should we? The question was, should we add a £2 levy to music festivals with a minimum capacity of 10,000? So, i.e., both of my festivals, should we add £2 onto the ticket price, and then donate it to the Music Venues Trust? And the Facebook group at 2000 Trees, there was 438 respondents, and 92% voted yes. And it really fucking annoyed me. And I asked the Association of Independent Festivals about it, and they basically said um, they're in a regular I'm reading from what John, the guy who runs the AAF, said, but they're in a regular dialogue with Music Venues Trust on the challenges, their challenges, our challenges, the shared challenges. There's no plans from them or anyone else to add a levy to independent music festivals, nor would anyone want to be calling for that, whilst independent festivals are also in such difficulty. Um, we're working together to get this sort of industry-wide levy on venue shows above 5,500, so that some money can come back into the independent sector. But basically, the subtitles is, and this is why it annoyed me, is music festivals are going bust left, right, and centre. The independents like mine, the fact that we're more than 10,000 is fucking neither here nor there. It's hard. Don't be adding £2. Don't be taking £2 out of the. It's just farcical. The festivals are important. The music venues are important. Let's keep them all going. Don't be fucking the festivals over. So
Yeah.
I don't blame any of the people that voted because I don't think some of them understand the sheer shit show that is the independent festival scene at the moment. But I'm sure you would agree that you don't really want £2 added to the cost of your tickets.
I saw it in passing, and it's just one of those ones where when you have an argument with your wife, and she goes back and says, "All my friends agree with me." And you're like, "Obviously." I mean, because it's one of those ones. What's the payback in saying, "No, no, no, Gavin's right. Actually, you shouldn't have kicked him down a flight of stairs." It's like that question. Should you levy this to save this venue? I was like, well, of course we want to save the venues. Like the question they're saying is almost fucking irrelevant, and no one's given it any thought. It's a bit like the merchandise thing as well. When I'm joking about the wife situation, she doesn't beat me up. It's the other one with the merch. Should all artists be able to sell their own merch for 100%? Yes, of course. Who doesn't agree with that? And then you go, well, let's pull back one layer of this conversation. Let's not even have to go too deep in it. what does that actually mean? And we've done that in the Great Merch debate. So some poor bastard on the other side, like you or I, has to go and plough 10 grand into infrastructure, staffing, lighting, water's costs, and then go, okay, you guys do it for free and we'll just have a 10 grand bill. Or do we say, we're not paying anything and all the artists are going to pay, are going to sell their t-shirts at the back of a van in the car park? It's like, it's just one of those questions where it's easier just to tick the yes, of course. Who doesn't want artists to make money for their merch? Who doesn't want small venues to make money and be said we all want all these small venues to survive. We need them for our festivals, ironically, in this whole ecosystem. But they're not thinking it through, and it just sounds like, oh, if this has been put together. But yet here we are with independent festivals, with a podcast that's discussed the fact that so many of them are dying at a rapid rate. It's like, someone give us £2. Somebody go get a levy
Yeah.
and give us £2 instead of this. Nobody cut the VAT rate for everyone in the music industry, and then that solves it. It's the government that doesn't get the 20% on top of everything else they take. So, aye, nonsense. People are even saying yes, probably when it's explained to them, no, it's nonsense. But at the same time, it's one of those, there is no wrong answer here. You just go tick yes and think no more about it. So, aye, I'm glad you followed up though.
Yeah, yeah, you've got it exactly right there. It's basically it's the referendum question that somebody asked the wrong question. The question is leading. The question is leading you down an alleyway to say yes to it.
Yeah, it's like in
And
Scotland,
it's
they
just a
see,
bit annoying. And
it's like in Scotland, to see if the referendum question is, do you enjoy freedom? Do you want to be owned by the English? I guarantee we would have got independence, you know what I mean? But it has to be framed properly. So
yeah.
it's aye, it's like aye. Do you want to save your small local favourite venue? Damn right I do. But I mean, does that have to be at the cost of 2,000 trees dying? No, it doesn't.
And I had I had a really I won't name the person, but I had a really interesting chat with a music venue owner in Bristol, and it did make me think that that some people don't quite realise how important festivals are to the ecosystem of it all, and also they don't realise um, how in danger festivals are to disappearing, and they it's very easy to get wrapped up in your own thing, which the Music Venues Trust have done a great job of making the argument about music venues being in danger, and I'm fully behind that. And once they're gone, and it's the same with festivals. And we're all part of feeding the wider rock and metal music industry. So let's, yeah, fuck the levy, basically. There's better ways. Well, not fuck the levy on £2 on our festival tickets, because that is not going to work. There needs to be a wider thing. Anyway, so yeah,
I
that's
totally
my
agree.
rant
And
for the
that,
day.
and that came right out of the left field. I wasn't expecting that at all. I was like, under the wee episode plan, but James's update. Okay, let us take down the Music Venue Trust. I know that's not what you're saying. I know. We're being flippant. Okay, we like to have a wee bit of fun in this podcast too. So the Kofi guy, you get the Paul Allison is the kind of guy who knew that the place I'd be in this week, and he says, let's not cause any grief for these people. Paul Allison, the hero he is, said he would love to have a White Russian bought from him at Art Tangent, or a White Russian was at Art Tangent. And I think because he's trying to be funny on a flannel, which obviously it's a face cloth. So
He succeeded in being funny. He can have a White Russian at Arctangent. I will buy him one if he finds me, and if he can't find me, he can just go to the bar and get one,
yeah,
and they will drop me a radio call, and
and you'll
he
make
can
make
have a
that
White
happen. So
Russian.
White
Yeah.
Russians, but preferably Paul, try and team up with you somewhere, and let's have a White Russian. And thank you for your support. The whole Kofi thing. I've not had the headspace to get into it properly. It's still been a wee bit of a riot. There's been a few cancellations, I think, with people who are just a bit fed up subscribing to something they're not actually paying for, which is a wee bit, again, as I say, a bit in the balls, because people have went in there with the best intentions, and then for whatever reason, I did contact Kofi. They came back with some vague excuse that there's some security checks in place, but maybe the subscriber hasn't been told about. So there's boxes not been ticked that the subscriber doesn't know is supposed to tick. So we'll get to the bottom of it one way or the other. People who have managed, people who have resubscribed, people are thinking about subscribing. Thank you so much for the support. It goes a long way once we've got this fucking festival out of the way and actually the headspace to look at it and go and buy ourselves some vinyl. We will, or we'll feed ourselves on tour. Please, if you fancy it, you enjoy this podcast and you've got a few quid a month, Kofi, which is KO fi/two promoters, one pod.
Yeah, absolutely. And just one thing I quickly wanted to say is that people write little messages, and I don't know if they know if we read them or not, but I do, and it's really nice. They tell us why they've subscribed, and there's some amazing things in there.
We had
Um,
one from Australia.
yeah,
The guy, it's because you sent me, I said, we have to mention that some guy driving about fucking somewhere in Australia every whatever time in Thursday morning this year for him, listening to our two voices. And weirdly, Australians are one bunch of folk who don't struggle with my accent at all. Australians, for whatever reason, the arse end of the fucking world, get every last syllable. Yeah, you go to Carlisle and I'm like, I'm fucking speaking Mandarin. So we appreciate there is an Australian promoter, a guy who has been in touch a couple of times and promotes like Dillinger Escape Plan and some massive shows. It might be interesting to get him on at some point and just discuss the differences of promoting for the UK all the way to Australia. He was he gave me an example of like when they're promoters, they kind of go on the bus with the band and they promote the tour with the band like as one. Like it's not just like show by show showing up and it's a church and state sort of situation. So maybe an idea for further down the road to maybe get him on for a pod and have a chat about some worldwide promoting.
sounds good. I mean, tour in Australia must be absolutely mad because it is, it's 20 play a show, drive for 25 hours, play another show.
It's a big ass country, but aye, brilliant.
It
We
is.
appreciate your support us. Let's get into some questions then, James.
Yeah, let's do it. So I've got a couple of damnation questions first, and then there's some more general ones. So Damien Jones asks, as someone who will be attending Damnation and Night of Salvation for the first time, is there anything specific to watch out for? Now, it's a pretty open question, this. It's just like, what would you tell someone who's not been before? What do they need to know?
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to keep away from the sort of more fluffy, just go in and then absorb the experience bullshit. That stuff, do it or don't do it, depending on your personality. The practicalities of going that you see people afterwards discussing, and I've caught them out. It is helpful to bring some cash. There is a lot of cashless points. The bars will all take card. Most of the the merch vendors will take card, but there is some situation where having a bit of cash will help. You might find that nails or bleeding through have arrived in the UK that day. They don't have a card machine that isn't set up for the UK. They haven't even thought about it, but they can take some cash. And your way to get that nails vinyl or that bleeding through t-shirt that's going to cost you 15 quid, 20 quid in US dollars to get shipped here, and you can't get it because you never put £20 in your pocket. It's frustrating. There is no ATM in sight, and even though there's no, there's re-entry to do that damnation, it's the arse end of nowhere. So it's not like you just walk down the high street and get another ATM. I would recommend, I don't see what the pushback is about this. I would recommend taking 30, 40, 50 quid of cash in your pocket, in your wallet. You don't spend it, you go home, you've got 30, 40 quid of cash in your wallet. Like, it's not like it's not a token system, we take it off you and you don't get it back. But there's been a lot of people who haven't got items of merch they were desperate to get because they didn't bring cash. And the Wi-Fi signal out in that car park isn't always the best. So if you don't have a 3G or 4G enabled terminal, and even if you're trying to take card payments and it's the Wi-Fi's not great, again, cash is a backup. So that's the first thing. If you can do it, do it. There is a sort of weird pushback with some people that feel like, I don't know, you're trying to take me into some dystopian era where using cash is like fucking criminal. But ultimately, it's going to help you out if you find yourself in that spot. We do two pinters. The venue prices for booze is pretty reasonable. It was like 6 or 7 quid a pint the last year. So people get a bit carried away, a wee bit excited. You see folk with big fucking two pinters. The Holy Goat stuff was never designed, was never brought into on site to be in a two pinter. People just saw a loophole and went, Holy Goat, like, I mean, a Holy Goat can, just to buy that can right now, retail, you go on it like 7 quid a can. So if you go to like a beer festival and you get a Holy Goat, you'd expect to pay, I don't know, 10, 11, 12 quid for a pint of Holy Goat. A lot of places you go, you're only really getting them in maybe thimbles and paying 4 or 5 quid for it. So people just get excited last year. And you're seeing people going about with this like fucking Sears 2 pint and a Holy Goat, but it's like 7%. 2 pinters are not only are your teeth going to be red by the end of that Sears, but you're probably going to be a bit fucking pissed And that would definitely happen last year. I am not one to tell anyone how to drink.
Mate, you are wildly off brand right now. Off your personal brand. This is just I'm not I was trying to work out, is he saying what I think he's saying?
I'm just
Don't buy 2 pints, buy one.
I'm just trying. Look, listen, by all means, get to the 2 pints because it's another one of these ones. Come in, test the ground. You know what I mean, have a pint, enjoy it, enjoy some of the bands if you feel that. But listen, I'm a big boy and I know how to fucking drink. I don't need to listen to Gavin McInally tell me how to drink. Then by all means, at 5, 6, 7 o'clock, get yourself a 2 pint and see how you feel after that. What I'm saying is, I also saw a lot of people who wanted to see their favourite band sitting in a corner, regretting some of their drinking
Yeah.
choices. So, aye, drink responsibly is what I'm trying to get at. Even though I'm a man who maybe not drank responsibly himself on a few occasions.
It's a real balance festival drinking. You got to get it right. You got to get it right. It's hard not to get excited though. I'm like, I think I said to you before we came on the call, I'll be banging on the gates at 3 p.m. complaining about, fuck me, I fucking run a podcast with this guy. I've got to get in the queue as well. And
Elbows
I
out.
will be,
Hey, come on.
yeah, I will be excited to say the least. The best beer at any festival is the first beer.
Yeah, I mean, and
Best beer.
listen, I'm up. The amount of times that I've went into a festival site, including the Wednesday. I mean, case in point, a man who lost all fucking all thread of himself on Wednesday at Art Tangent this year when I was losing other people's phones. I was that excited. So I am not. This is a proper do as I say, not as I do learning moment. So aye. Another thing is like you get excited. I have friends that have just hit the Friday too hard. If you want to hit the Friday too hard again, I'm not your mum or dad. Go and enjoy it anyway. But a lot of people, their favourite band, or one of their favourite bands, what to see next month is Enforced, or Pine, or A. Williams, and they've been looking forward to it for weeks, and they've been listening to the record, and they don't make it any time because they're bust. They just went 1 hour too long, one double pint or too many, and they regret it. And again, I'm not listening to a fucking public service announcement on drink responsibly, but I want you to come and enjoy the festival. I want you to come and enjoy what you're paid to do. So, aye, maybe if you get a wee bit excited on Friday, like ease off towards the end if you've got Enforced or Pine in your mind. If you're going to show up at 3 p.m. in the afternoon and wander in then, and fucking have at it.
I mean, honestly, if you'd asked me if I'd done like a sort of what do I think Gav's answer is going to be to I've never been to Damnation before, what should I do? I didn't have this on the bingo card. So just come in, pint of Coke, then follow it with a water, and then maybe ease into a half pint. I think
I, I'm
is
just
what we've
trying.
got.
People are trying to refund their tickets right now. Like, what sort of fucking gimp fest is this? I'm not going to an all day metal so I can sit and ease myself in. I'm getting tops off and I'm going fucking crazy to insanity. Like, I also like that. I'm just not going to have this podcast played back at me in a week's time and somebody goes, "Oh, by the way, I was puking by 8 o'clock."
Yeah, good.
Other helpful things. Download the app. It's I believe that I've not seen it yet, but I believe the map has now been uploaded to that. Anything that changes, we'll put a push notifications so you don't need to be going and checking anything. It'll come straight to your phone. The Clash Finder's on there. It works offline, so it doesn't even matter if the 3G or the signal shit or the way you don't get the Wi-Fi, you can use the Clash Finder offline anyway. So aye, well worth downloading the app to do that. And final, here's one thing that maybe that check out a band that you don't know.
Yeah.
Check out a band you don't know. Damnation has a long and rich history of people finding their favourite bands that person did not know when they walked through the doors to check something out. Nordic Giants for last year is a perfect example of a band that maybe half the crowd had no idea what was going on, and people regularly talk about it now. Now that might be this year's A. Williams or this year's Pine or this year's Sugar Horse, but take a chance. The bands are only on there because they're fucking brilliant. So if you're at your Selwas end and you've had your water and your Alka-Seltzer and you've had your two meals and you've got some spare time, go and check out whatever. The setup at Damnation, the main stage, sort of the biggest band, second stage Extreme, third stage a bit more doom, stone or riff. That gives you an indication. So if you're into that, if you're like, oh man, I really like Resin and I really like Duel, there's a good chance you might like Hangman's Chair. And vice versa. If you really like Memoriam and you really like the Ruins of Everest, there's a good chance you'll like Dragged into Sunlight. So aye, that's my more fun point. All right, James.
Good,
Public
good. I
service,
like that.
public service announcement over.
I mean, weirdly, this is mad to say, but I've not actually been to the BEC Arena before.
That's
So
right.
I'm like super excited because I can't actually picture in my head what it's like. I've seen photos. I think I might have seen video, but I've seen a bunch of photos, but not really of like how I'll walk into. I don't know. It feels like going to a new festival, even though I've been to Damnation loads of times.
Aye,
So yeah,
aye. Not be good to finally have
yeah.
you there. Obviously, last year you had, I mean, a good reason for that. But let's have you here. Let's get you there safe and sound this year, and have a good one. Serious Gav will be there in full. That will just staring at you. We
I
don't want.
reckon. I don't think that will last. That won't last. Okay, next question. Rob Scarlett says, "Can you explain?" I think there's a cheeky wink in this question, but can you explain why Night of Salvation isn't just Damnation Day One? Because you probably noticed that regularly on the forum I get confused. I'm doing this wrong every time, not intentionally.
Yeah, it's
Um,
this is it. This is the answer, and it's done, and it's done, and it's never coming back again because next year, as we'll get into later, this won't be a possibility to get the mix up. So from the start to the end, Night of Salvation has been around for more than a decade. It was always a thing. It was always a night before Damnation, and then in 2021 we absorbed it. I mean, Paul used to just put on some local human fly and whoever else in a local pub, sell 300, 350 tickets, and it was a good night out for people who came into Leeds and had nothing to do before. They came up from London or flew across wherever. They had something to do before Damnation. In 2021, we sort of absorbed it more into the Damnation, us organising it from start to finish, and we put on those album sets with Svalbard and Ackercock and Orange Goblin and Raider Speed On. That's when it became people like, well, Damnation's just 2 days. That one was less because it was only four bands and it started at 6 o'clock at night. So we kind of got away with that. 2022, one stage, we lost the Sea, Celeste, Pupil Slicer, Ithaca, Mastiff. Again, people be like, oh, was that in the same venue, using an arena, Night of Salvation? And then last year, we kind of lost it, the running itself, and it became the three-stage thing. And it was like, this is just a 2 day festival. Now, we came into this year with that already leveled against it, but like, we were never going to sell it as a you have to come to both of these. And we also want to have a wee bit more freedom with the Friday. We wanted to do more fun things. We wanted to book album sets or maybe the band twice or just experiment a bit more than what we're trying to do with Damnation. It really needs to be successful for this to survive. But sometimes you just have to give in. It's not about what the reality is, it's about what the perception of your reality is. And when people just say, no, that's it, Damnation's a 2 day event, you need to at some point just accept, like you're no pushing back against this. And it starts to cause confusion because then people have said before, I can't go to Damnation because I can't afford 2 nights hotels. Can't go to Damnation because ticket price is £150. Can't go to Damnation. Like, and all that stuff. You're like, none of that was true. But if it's what people perceive to be true, you're stuck in the same boat. So that's the reason why it was kept the way it was. A wee bit more freedom to give people to give us freedom as promoters and bookers, to give fans freedom to book and add on the Night of Salvation if they wanted to. Damnation was always just supposed to be the Saturday, but next year we're going 2 days. Saturday, Sunday, Damnation itself. If there is a Night of Salvation, it will be someone else. So that this entire question and dilemma for folk will disappear.
okay, good. By
You
the
happy
way,
with it?
I'm not intentionally saying it wrong. It just can't. And that's the problem, isn't it? That
Yeah, and it maybe
people are getting it wrong accidentally.
it does, but and it's no big. I mean, ultimately, whether you see it as 1 day, 2 days, or whatever, it's like it's no real damage to the festival. Just people like a product of any description to be clear and simple and know exactly what they're getting for it. But of course, the problem for ourselves, well, we put blind birds on sale for £7.50, and it's got to this stage a few days before Damnation, and people are saying, oh, my £7.50 blind bird, that gets me in for both days because on the website there's a glitch because the both events are connected. It shows November 1, November 2. So people are thinking for the £7.50, ultimately £75, that we're getting 2 days of Damnation, which would be financial ruin for us. And there might even be the case of come Friday night that someone does try to get in with one
Yeah.
blind bird ticket. So that's no good. It doesn't matter who's right, who's wrong, how many times you've said it. If you're Customers don't understand exactly what's going on clearly 100%. It's not good for your event. So we're clearing it up. Next year's Damnation, this will not be an issue. This is the end of it. And this, I'm going to feel good because a guy called Tom Redman, who was delighted when you posted, say, let's all come in the day before dinner. He's like, yeah, because he's a one-man campaign to be like, Damnation's 2 days and I'm not accepting anything else. So I can see the funny side of it, I know, too. So there's no big dramas either way, but this is the end of it. To answer Rob's question, I hope that's the last time it ever needs to be answered.
Okay, good. Well, Dominic Coleman Briggs follows on from that to say, with Damnation a full 2 days next year, will there still be a focus on album sets for one of those days? Good question.
No, no, that is definitely that was definitely a Night of Salvation trend, and I enjoyed doing it, and there is a wee something to it. But I mean, more down the lines are how you'll find yourself promoting now, James. When something falls in your lap, you're not going to say, "No, I dragged into something like don't play Hatred for Mankind" or "Bleeding Through." Don't do This Is Love, This and Murderous because it's Damnation now, and we don't do that. Like you're just going to say, right, that's what the fans want, but I'm not going to actively be going after bookings. I mean, Night of Salvation is very deliberate. You're going after Decapitated because you're asking them to do the negation. You're not asking Decapitated to play, you're asking Decapitated to play the negation. When Employed to Serve become available, you're asking them to play Conquering. So that becomes more complicated, it becomes more expensive, and it's not something I need to be involved in making Damnation more difficult. Now, should there be a Night of Salvation next year? And there's no reason why there wouldn't be on a smaller scale. That is an avenue we would probably pursue on a smaller scale, maybe with smaller bands, and have it somewhere else and do that because I love it. I love that, and so do some people love that chance of let's go and see something we just wouldn't see on this with these bands and doing this tour. So, aye, but not for Damnation. It's not going to be. There's not going to be one day that I'm just rebranding sort of Night of Salvation and just calling it Day One, Damnation Day One.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. And the more, as a booker, the more rules you set yourself, the harder it is in an already really difficult job. If you're like this is at Trees, you might be like the cave is the heavy stage, or you might at Damnation be like this is where the doom is. And then this is the day with the full arm sets. And the more rules you have,
Yeah,
the harder this fucking really difficult job becomes. And
yeah,
you can't. You then people are saying, "Oh no, you've broken your rule. Don't break that rule. You should be doing this, this, and this." And
yeah,
I think it's better to just be like, "Okay, I've been offered Between the Buried and Me to play Colours in full. Of course, I'm going to fucking do it."
yeah.
But not like everything has to be.
And again, something that's I've mentioned before is like this perception of when people say you fell out with a band, it's like James will never book that band again, Gavin won't book that band again. There's definitely something to we're saying these things in the podcast that we're openly admitting we're progressing with this career and we're learning and we're changing with. There's people be like, no, James won't do that, or Gavin won't do that because they've said that in the podcast. Like, listen, we'll be the first people to come on here and admit. Firstly, we're not experts at this. We're just two people giving you insight to how we do it, and we will learn as we go with it. Now, like because because I think there's a question later about you announcing so many bands on your first post after being like, oh, there's no something that you'd be up for, and then aye, okay, but circumstances change, you learn for something, you move on. So aye, you don't want to have that rod for your own back, so don't expect it for next year. I will talk about it when we get to the Damnation section. This what I do want to do for next year, which again is maybe just contradicting that what I'm saying because now I'm going to tell you what I want to do for next year. But again, if that doesn't come to fruition, I'll go with it. I'm not going to tell any great band, oh, you can't play this weekend at Damnation next year because it doesn't fit the mold that I've made up in my head for what it should be.
Yeah,
A more
yeah.
general question from our friend David Murphy. I think he's the guy that runs the car event. He loves a good wee sort of into. He loves a good nerdy question. So outside the big disasters that come, at which point, at what point each year are you most anxious or likely to have a sleepless night? Is it the lineup announcement, or waiting for your first offer returns, or the meeting with the council for licensing, or something else? James, what keeps you awake at night, pal?
I mean, I did feel recently that after all the hype of the hype building of the trees announcement, I felt a lot of anxiety around that announcement. And I went out with some friends a couple of days ago, and they were asking me, "Oh, you must have loved it. The feedback was great. We were watching it on Facebook, and it was so good." And I was like, "Yeah, but it's such a weird job, isn't it? It's like no one else gets their job. I mean, some people do, but like if you know." some people's job are in the public eye, and most of our jobs is just you sat in an office. But then this bit of it is like fucking bang. Like everyone is going to comment on your announcement straight away. And some of them were just disappointed because it's not Biffy Clyro, or it's not Enter Shikari, or it's not fucking whoever. And I definitely this time round felt more anxiety over that than normal. Um, but really, the time definitely that I feel the most stress every year is early January, and I think the reason for that is the festivals go from being like this fun thing you're just kind of like playing the game of festivals to you wake up on sort of January the 4th, you've eaten and drank too much all Christmas, you've had fun, you haven't done any work for 2 weeks, and suddenly it's like fuck, there is a festival coming. We still haven't got a headliner for this night or whatever, and we still need to sell this many thousand tickets to break even. And so there's something about, I mean, I think a lot of people feel this about January. It's just
Yeah,
it's just
yeah.
fucking
I think
hard,
that's a
January
life.
is.
That's why people join the gym and start pledges and because people. I mean, you hit it hard for 2 weeks and then I mean, that sense of fear comes for you. And if that fear in your head is a festival, then that's right. If your fear in your head is you've put on a few pounds, then that's in your like, or you haven't achieved what you're supposed to do, or you're supposed to be married with 3 kids at this age, or you're
Yeah.
supposed to have a bigger house. Or, I mean, I'm sure that gets all of us in its own wee weird way. So, that's a fun because I don't know when that point would be in the year for us. I feel like you always feel better if ticket sales are good. If
Mm.
ticket sales are good, everything's good. I mean, you're like business
Yeah.
is good. Yeah, you can do like last year was I mean, we've talked about this fucking at length, but last year, like when you know you're not making money and then you're still dealing with the same shit, it really hurts. I mean, like a fucking punch to the ribcage when you're dealing with that shitty tour manager, that shitty agent, and you know you're doing it for zero money. It's like
Yeah.
you're doing it and you're getting 50 grand. You're like, Quill's just a fucking dick. I mean, end of the day, I was in journalism, I had to deal with dicks. Before that, I worked in Tesco. Before that, I worked in a restaurant. I always had to deal with dicks, and but I get paid for it, and that was the end of it. Funny timing for this question because the worst I've been was last night. Now we are more organised than we've ever been, ever. I've got Natasha been brought on board to do merchandise this year. She's been in touch with your man Kevin that handles your merch. She's taken so much of her plate. We've got Angela and for advancing. Paul's always great. Bry's always great with design. Marios is now coming into the fold now in the last week. So I just feel like we've got so much more tied up than we've ever had before. But this is it's a strange game, this, because the more you organise, the more your head allows you to think about the peripheral stuff that you never thought about. See when the panic is, are we going to be able to feed people, or is there going to be seating, or is that headline band going to get booked? You've got no time to think about the dressing room signage or where that fourth bus is going to park. Because as soon as the bigger problems are dealt with, you just go further and further down the rabbit hole of
Absolutely.
the wee minor things like Gav, you never even thought about this last year. Now you're lying in bed. So I'm lying in bed last night 12 o'clock, half 12, 1 o'clock, with these stupid. Do we have a backup screen for Gatekeeper if their video doesn't work? Did Paul say that the pyro that we had to get a certificate signed for that? Did Angela say about the hotel rooms? I'm like, fuck's sake, shut up! Well, shut your brain off. You need to sleep. If you don't sleep, you're going to be fucking useless to yourself and everyone around about you. So last night was my worst night this year for lying in bed. And Fro's got himself in some states done years. He was in the hospital one time with like heart palpitations like fucking like 5 years ago because he was just getting himself worked up into a stress about it. And it's like you need to be aware of that. You need to be aware of
Yeah.
that, and it's a funny spot to be in because a lot of it you're creating your nerves, your anxiety are creating that for you, and you need to find a way to tackle it.
There must be people must have written books about this sort of stuff that in year one at Trees, you could only deal with the most big problems because there were so many of them and none of the detail. And as exactly what you just said, as you get better at it and delegate more, all the new problems come. It's not like you don't ever get free from problems. You just find new things to fucking think about. And
Yeah, and I'm sure if you
yeah,
went to an artist, you goes, all right, okay, look at you now, and you're such a stress about the fact that the salmon's no smoked, and that the shower wasn't hot enough, and the backdrop we said would be there was only 8 meters, and you thought it was going to be 9 meters. There must have been a time where the only thing you was worried about is did the venue have power? And like, was anyone going to show up and watch you? I mean, like, I think the bands as well, they kind of get. It's easy to call them divas, but they're trying to do their own thing also. They're just like the more the basics get dealt with and tackled, you just move on to this next. I suppose it's that whole thing with rich and poor. When you're poor, you're only thinking about when's your next meal and how do you survive. And then you're rich, you're like, well, I wonder what the length of my neighbour's grass is. You know what I mean? It's like you're just that fucking human nature that you find that other ways for to make your brain torment yourself.
Yeah, 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 absolutely. It's
And you like a wee smirk there because you're
mate,
like, I live in a state where people check people's grass.
mate. I was no, my smugness was that at 3 p.m. on Friday, you're still in it, and I'm coming.
So Simon Green, James was very against Bloodstock's strategy of announcing all their bands up front, but he's done a 180 instead of his drip feed approach and adopted the same method for trees. Why is that? Also, he says a wee aside, is there some beef between James and Vicky? Is this true?
No, no, 100% no beef with Vicky. We've met twice, I think. We met at download pilot in 2021, and then I went to Bloodstock on her husband put me on the guest list for Bloodstock in 2021, and he gave me like a very lovely tour of the backstage, took me up on the main stage at Bloodstock, and um, I get on super well with Alan. I don't really know Vicky. We've met twice. There's no beef. So I don't have anything interesting to say about that other than I didn't want people to think there's a beef. And also I really haven't done a 180 here. Because if you look at it, last year we announced about 60 bands at Trees before Christmas. This year we've announced about 60 bands before Christmas for Trees. It's like there is a slight weighting to more headliners. But last year we announced all the bands we had confirmed, and this year we've announced all the bands we've confirmed. So I haven't really done a 180. It's like out of the 150 bands, we've announced 50 or 60 of them.
Yeah, I
And
suppose I suppose that his thoughts is like all the headliners going out in one go, but there is also a difference. Like when is Trees July?
yeah,
July. Well, this is October, going into November when you've announced these, and you said when you were talking about Bloodstock, which again I don't think was like, oh, here's a criticism, they're doing it wrong. It's just like this isn't the way I would do it. They done it at their festival, so they done theirs 12 months out. This is what you're getting, and it's worked for them. And great, I'm delighted it has worked for them because it's good for the scene when you see a festival
yeah.
selling that well. And then you've done it 9 months. There's a 3 months difference, and not with such a weight on the entire lineup. So, aye, I get what it means, but it's probably not quite as like for like as he thinks.
No, and also the weird thing about this podcast is we're so open, and sometimes you just say stuff, and then you're like, fucking hell, now I'm being held to, you said that, but now
Yeah,
you're not exactly doing that now, are you? Look, if next year I've got 5 headliners ready to go in July, will I announce them? I don't fucking know. I can't predict what I will feel like in 9 months' time. So you are kind of with sales and marketing, you're always making different plans, always making new plans.
yeah,
The
learning,
co- yeah,
learning,
yeah,
changing. But
absolutely.
I mean, especially in this, like since we started this, things have changed in the industry about how, like, for example, as you say, I mean, when you started this 7 months ago, 8 months ago, were you saying, "Oh, I'm going to start making offers," or did we even talking about making offers for two festivals in advance? No, I mean that is like it's changing as we're doing these conversations.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's a constantly moving world we live in, isn't it? And you're kind of following other people in a way. So like when Bloodstock go early, they make another festival go early, and eventually everyone's going early, or I don't know, anything can happen. And
Yeah.
I think it's unlikely that this time next year I'll have all 5 headliners ready to go. If there even are 5 headliners, it might be back to 3. Who fucking knows? I don't know.
The way it's gone for us this time next year, I might not even have a headliner. At this point, I'm just banking fucking wholesale and two promoters, one pod, continuing to be a fucking huge success.
Good. We best get that tour announced.
We
Um,
best get that tour announced. Okay.
um, yeah, good. So look, genuinely, there is no beef with with me and Vicky. I don't know where that came from. So yeah, nothing. Um, okay, I think it's the last question. Is from Gareth Endine Pitt. Um, I saw on a forum for another festival someone was seriously asking for Ghost as a headliner for a 5,000 cap show. How hard is it to manage people's expectations when they're so often highly unrealistic? Hugely unrealistic.
I mean, aye. I mean, we're very good. I feel that the way that we handle social media and how transparent we are, we probably have a fan base with a bit more insight than you generally get just at any. And I see some more outlandish chat at other events than I do at Damnation. By and large, you still get the odd Dark Throne. I mean, this black metal band that I don't think I've ever played, and no doubt Vakin and Hellfest have been out at like 500,000 euros, 750,000 euros, and they've never done it. So that's more than the entire budget of Damnation. We're not going to be. I think and that's a compliment. People go, oh, look, Damnation gets that special set that we've never seen or other festivals haven't booked. I think that's more to do that we're just a bit more on the ball than a lot of other festivals and a lot of other festivals in the metal world take what's given, I'll take what's an offer, and we probably chase a bit more than other events, rather than people going, oh yes, let's reform and do this fucking blinding special one just for Damnation. I would love that to be the case. I wish that Damnation was held in such high esteem. I don't think that's the case, unfortunately. I think it's just that we're very good at chasing pretty special sets, and that's why we get them. So aye, people kind of know where Damnation is. The odd time you'll hear what was the most recent one? I mean, no acid bath because people, including ourselves, don't really know what the whole situation is with acid bath or what their worth would be or whatever. But you do get one sort of a bit like that's just slightly beyond what Damnation could reach, but it's not in the same level as when I see some crazy shit that people say about either Bloodstock or an event smaller than Damnation. Like, I don't know if you were saying Incineration, the good ones, Incineration, Radar, Fortress, Cosmic Void, and then you get some band like that I know is worth 75 grand. And they're like, well, they could do one day at Tech Fest. And you're like, fuck's sake, I only if you want a guy for Tech Fest to lose everything he ever owned. So, aye, it's we not too bad for us, but I think because we do on a daily manage expectations of we're quite transparent on what we're doing and what we're about. This podcast probably helps a lot as well. That it's not something we're getting battered with, like book Iron Maiden. That's not really happening anymore.
No, I think for me, the at Trees, it's like the arena bands are it's a bit of a grey area. So Don Broco headline Trees this year, they're an arena band. Um, but then also, Biffy Clyro is really at least the next level up from that, if not more.
And James, you're right
Um,
as well. But then I saw, not to fucking poke your bear when it comes to Red Hot Chili Peppers, but Red Hot Chili Peppers also play the Hydro in Glasgow, and Kings of Leon play the Hydro in Glasgow, but they're not Don Broco. You know what I mean? So Kings of Leon could go on and then headline Leeds and Reading, and so could Red Hot Chili Peppers playing the exact same venue as Idols or Don Broco. And you're there looking at it going, how the fuck do you judge that?
yeah, yeah. No, it is a weird one. And I suppose that the Chili's would argue that they could go and play the O2 Arena in London and do 20,000 tickets, and maybe a Don Broco can't. I don't know. So I fuel this in a way by talking openly about someone like Biffy Clyro, but also there's bands like Ent Shikari who are doing so well now and are so high up the lineups at the likes of Download that it is a stretch to get those bands to still play a 2,000 Trees. And Deftones is another obvious one. So those sort of bands, I do think people's expectations, Deftones, Biffy, are slightly unrealistic. But the problem is, it is possible. It's just unlikely.
Yeah.
So you get in this like weird world. I think with Arctangent, it's mostly like fine, like you get the odd Deftones, Faith No More people, but really people get Arctangent. And actually, Arctangent's lineup some years, because there's such a small pool of headliners, some years it will be slightly smaller than others. We've had Converge headline and we've had Meshuggah headline, and those bands are very different in size. Um, and I think there will be years where that kind of ebbs and flows, and that's kind of okay in the Arctangent world. But at Trees, they want you to give it the big fucking the big beans every year. So
It's
yeah,
bizarre as well because we talk about Deftones with the respect that they deserve, like they are Metallica, but then at the same time, your Don Brockles and I mean soon to be probably Kneecaps probably outsell Deftones in every city in the UK now. You know what I mean? It's like, and that's a bizarre truth as well. You're like, aye, okay, Deftones because we know and love and adore and have seen them at the top of these bills, but ultimately, I mean, the Deftones play arenas. I mean, the last few times I've seen it, it hasn't been in arenas, and it's like, well, why wouldn't it be? But like, that's just a different. It's all a big weird grey area.
yeah, yeah, absolutely is. And bands bands are weird how they seem to get bigger and smaller without you even noticing. The Deftones tour in America recently has done amazingly, so I wonder whether that will be replicated in the UK
Yeah, I get
going
it. I
forwards.
don't get me wrong, because fuck the last thing I need is somebody to come onto this and tell me Gav doesn't appreciate Deftones. I'm like fucking ready to get a Chino Marino tattoo in my face. I love them that much, you know what I mean? And I have seen them in arenas, but I've also seen them in the Barrowlands and the O2 Academy. In between, they are definitely a band that fluctuate.
Yeah,
But with this whole Korn and Limp Bizkit and this explosion of bands from that 2000 era where we were all watching Kerrang and Scuzz, I have no doubt Deftones could probably come back and do the Hydro again and fill it, and I will be there, dancing along with it with my Mosh jeans on. So, aye, I'm no slagging off. It's another thing. You say stuff in this podcast and conversation like, I'm going to go and get fucking terrorised by somebody,
no,
but like, Deftones played Wolverhampton to this arena, and you're like, for fuck's sake, sorry, I apologise. So,
no,
before we get into chatting about all things great and Damnation, one hero who'll be at Damnation is Lewis Bruce with his own stall. So if you're coming tomorrow and Saturday, both days, make sure you've got a tote bag and fill it with the big man's sauces. We've no shut up about it for 8 months. You've been with us since the start. They're all fucking great. James keeps the empty bottles as memorabilia. There is nothing but good things. What I am asking though, please, 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 if you see him, terrorise the wee fucker. Terrorise him. Pod 15, Curly Wurly, Kirsty's Metal Hands. Ask him where the two promoters one sauce is. I mean, make his life difficult, miserable. You know what I mean? What he's done to us, the shit that he's put me through, the abuse that I've taken online, give him a wee bit of that back, please.
yeah, absolutely. I've never seen him do anything sensible at a festival, so I'm a bit weirded out by the idea that I'm coming to Damnation. I'm not only am I going to see you stressed, lose working.
He's not. He's not. He's basically got a stall, and he just said, "Get someone to man that for me, would you?" he's, like,
Good, good.
he's like not going to spend one fucking second behind that
Okay,
stall.
good. That's good. Okay, I feel better now.
No,
That's
I mean you'll see me serious and me a bit stressed. Lou doesn't do that. He's not interested. I think that's just a case of right. Okay, I'll take the stall, sponsor the stage. I'm going to take the perks of this, and I'm going to swan around like royalty. So, aye, looking forward to seeing the guy. If you aren't coming to Damnation, usual rules apply. Go to the site, Pod 15, get yourself some sauces.
yeah,
Support him because he supports us.
absolutely. Do it. So, Damnation, Gav. Right, what do we got to talk about? Talk to me about how it's going. Last few weeks, how they've been. What are we looking forward to? What's the
But before we get started, I put on my Damnation 2005, my original day one merch, because it's like a comfort blanket. It's no when I need to get serious, I need to get in the zone. I stick on my old merch. Although with a sort of cheat code of I had this reprinted on Stanley Stella because I didn't like the original
course you
stuff.
did. Of course you did. I was going to say that t-shirt's blacker than it was in 2005.
Absolutely, my original one is like a grey flag. It's absolutely busted at the seams, but I had them reprinted on better quality merch, which are available also at Damnation. So if you want one of the 2005, 2008, or 2014, the 3 years that we pretty much sold out or had some sort of special event happening, then they are available too. The last today I had today was a wee bit of a wobble. I phoned Paul about that as well as like I was talking to the venue owner about a bunch of different things, and they sent a text goes, also all cars that are going to be on site, they need the I need the license plates, or because of this new parking thing he's got, I take one of
Yeah.
these cameras, automated cameras, you're basically they're going to get fined. I'm like, what? What do you mean? What do you mean? And I'm like, we're 40 hours away from 50 bands, 20 odd trailers, traders, God knows how many staff, crew, security, whatever, coming through the gates, and you want 100 license plates. You want 100 license plates? How could I even manage that? I mean, how could I even get that started? It was just like, you could sense that whole, oh, well, how am I supposed to get around this? I'm like, I don't know, put a fucking cardboard box over the camera. It's like,
So if like a food trader gets a bread delivery, they have to know the number plate. Otherwise
it's
they're
like,
getting fined.
but fuck it, for the bread delivery, I mean, the actual food trader coming through the door. I mean, at that time, you either need to go and contact all the food traders right now. Everyone, your Eyesore Merch, Holy Goat, Jim Bob Isaac, all our crew, or volunteer crew, everyone that's coming on site and say, oh, by the way, guys, I need all your license plates so we can get them then manually put into this system so they don't get fines. I'm like, oh my God. No, I think I think Simon had realised, like, well, that's a lot. You know, what I mean, how's that even going to be achievable? It's one of the things that the venues. That's a venue that's always evolving. They're always putting more money into it. They're always making the place better. That's a bonus for an event like Damnation. But this one's obviously slipped between the cracks, and I'm just like, no. He said, oh, we'll get it addressed. It'll not be an issue for this weekend, but just keep it in mind for next year. But I came off the phone to that and I was like, I definitely had, there was a wee 10-15 minute wobble, like, what am I fucking doing? No, I mentioned it before, you get that pit in your stomach, you're like, what am I doing? What is this career? What is this job? Like, I was there just now trying to go, how am I getting 100 different people from across the world license plates for vans are going to come in, or we're going to get fined, or I'm going to be dealing with fines or complaints for the next 3 months? And it just, I phone Frodo like, mate, having a wobble, what you up to? He goes, his poor wife's coming back from Tenerife for her daughter and the flight get cancelled. He's having his own personal wobble.
Fucking hell. Wow.
Ah,
But
so
that even for next year, that's like a nightmare, right? That you
it's,
can't, it's just not doable. It's not doable. So
it,
the food trader, their like person selling burgers gets ill, so they have to get a replacement person who drives to the venue. And at that point, they're getting a fine.
and on top of that, you're like the bands you can be. Well, I think I've mentioned this before. You can be try to be as prepared as you like, but that day the singer's going to come up separately. The drummers bring the van, the singer's driving the car, but they change the car because they get a puncture, and it's just like you're doing that across multiple bands from multiple countries. It just, I don't know. I think the bigger issue with that site is like when you get Outbreak and Sidewind and that, there is no parking on site whatsoever. I don't know how they manage it, where it is they put the people, if there's a park and ride scheme they've got, or they just have to find a space. I don't know I haven't thought about it like an alternative until today. So, aye. There's always been a running joke with the Damnation crowd that we use the actual car park for the food traders and that, but there's a bit of rubble behind it that we can at least put our cars and band cars, which is now its own problem. So that's where, I mean, fuck, you talk about be as organised as you like. Here's another, oh Jesus, here's another terrible example. 2,000 lanyards and let's say 1,500 laminates. So that's triple A, triple A Friday, triple A Saturday, the forum pass, generalised stage times all show up, all look beautiful. The lanyards, our wristbands and lanyards are absolutely fucking class. We spend a couple of grand on them, and they all show up, and the hole in the laminate is too far away from the clip, and every single fucking thing. So you can't clip it. It doesn't go far enough, and if it goes far enough, you have to actually bend the laminate in it and bust the laminate. So we'll get two thousand.
I'd love a video of the moment you realise that. That's a,
I had to send a picture to the company that produced them. Like, these are your lanyards and clips, and this is your laminate, and we've went to your template because their template is supposed to cut no matter how you get it. I mean, if your damnation's bit and you just cut right through your damnation, that's ultimately your fault. So we bride does our templates to make sure that doesn't happen, and they're all 3-4 mil too far away from where it goes, so you can't get the clip into it. So then you're like, what do you do? Well, you gotta get a hole punch and manually sit and hole punch like 2,000 of them. And it's hard enough by the time you even clip them in, because which I've done for years, you start to lose the feeling in your finger and thumb. Never mind getting a hole punch first and do it. I mean, it would take you 2 days of manual labour to sit and do it. So you're just like, and my wife, We were downstairs in the kitchen. I was saying to my daughter, I said, "Look, can you help me out with this, would you? We'll get these started. It's just one less thing to deal with when we get to Manchester." And the first one, "Oh, this one doesn't fit." "Oh, you're being daft," and I'm doing it. And my wife's watching me. She's going, "You're such an idiot. You can't even get a clip to fit in the hole. I mean, what the fuck's wrong with you?" "Oh, you fucking doing it." 10 minutes later, 3 years trying to get it. No, it's just too deep. There's no dimension with busting the laminate or damaging it
Yeah.
to get it in. And you're like, this is imagine. So we go to Manchester. I drive there tomorrow. Maybe look at them by tomorrow afternoon. Push maybe even Thursday because it's only a couple of hours job for a few people. And then you would realise that everything you've got doesn't work. It doesn't work. And you're like, what the hell were you going to do with that? That is fucking nonsense, an absolute nonsense. So it's there's been a couple of things that have kind of thrown us at the very last minute, and apparently the replacement ones are going to show up in Manchester tomorrow.
Great. I'll bring my hole punch with me if not.
I need an industrial one because I don't know how we managed to get one. We've got a hole punch that we've got in that I had in a cupboard, but it's one at a time. It's proper. You try to put two in, it doesn't want to do two, and like, oh my god, they're not sitting doing this either.
Yeah, you
So
can get those. Yeah, you can get the big beasts.
the big ones you get. So oh, that
Yeah,
was the the things that just throw up these weird quirks where doesn't matter how organised you are, doesn't matter how professional you're trying to be. This isn't like, oh, we could just do paper wristbands and just like, there you go, you're triple A. I mean that'll work fine, but you're trying to be that level a bit more classy and do it
yeah.
right. And you're like, what do you get for that? You get fucking clips and hole punches. They don't work. So aye, that's been pretty rough. For the actual good side of it, ticket sales have been good, but I think you need to be honest. Paul and I would have been sitting at the end of August, September with three-quarters of the tickets sold, with 20 years of sales history that says we do 50% or can do 50% of sales in the last 8 weeks. That was an absolute banker that was going to sell out, and it's been like treacle. It's been unbelievably like shockingly to the point of almost laughing. Like in a day they expect to sell 50, 60, 70, doing 5, 6 or 7. And there's a bit of that, it's bittersweet because on one hand you're like, Damnation's made money this year. It's going to be a success. It's going to be busy. The first day's sales were spectacular, but then we felt it would hit that sold out mark, and it's not managed to get there. So you're a bit like you take that next year, or please everyone support us again in day one, and then we can at least go through the whole year very positive. Then just get into the last 8 weeks and going, oh thank God we were saved at the last minute. But it's definitely a weird sales trend to see what I believe is the people that were going to buy the tickets in the last 8 weeks all done it in the first
Yeah,
month.
yeah,
So then they flipped the trajectory of where the sales went, which is still that's the way I prefer it. But at least now we'll go into next year if that happens again, understanding that this trend that's been there. And
yeah.
how's
It's weird, isn't it? Because whenever you do really good early sales, you're never really sure whether you've just driven the same people earlier. And
yeah,
that's our whole thing. It's like, and that's why you can basically never really relax until you're past the point of we're making money.
aye.
You can never really relax, can you? Because you never really know when sales are going to sort of drop off a cliff or become treacle, like you said. Yeah, I mean, I feel your pain there, but it's a good year though, still. So
That's the thing. It's like sometimes you do. It's a bit again. I've mentioned this a lot of times in this podcast. I feel like anytime there's a glimpse of honesty, or it's no the industry standard, they just pretend everything's absolutely perfect until you cancel your festival. It's like people, like, oh my god, Damnation is no done. Like I've seen occasions where I've been pretty happy with Damnation, and I've said, oh, it could have done better. Turned into catastrophe. Damnation's about to collapse. Like, fuck, man, there's no one in this fucking industry that's more transparent than us. And I'm telling you, it's good. I'm just saying that we felt it could have sold out and it's not going to sell out. And that's about like, right, okay, we'll take the win, but rather than 2-0, we would like to win 4-0. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah,
it's still a win. The money's, Damnation will make my salary this year will be made, and more than I would have made as a journalist, which at this point, as cold and bluntly as it is, has to be looked at as a success because I gave up one career to take one on, and ultimately this year will make more than that would have made as a newspaper editor. So I'm looking at that as a success, and I'm looking forward to building it for next year. So aye, that's where we are with that. I mean, if you did you? Did you see that in the final weeks of like the Art Tangent and Trees, or did you get the same trend as you've always had?
No, I mean, for the last, once we've announced all our bands, so let's say from March, April onwards, it kind of, the graph is very steady. It doesn't go up and down that much. It's like we sell a certain number of tickets each week for those months.
Yeah,
That's what the last few years have been like, and it was like that again this year. Like the big jumps we get are when we do lineup announcements, and then you go back into the. So we've never really had the massive rush at the end. It's not a thing we've ever had actually. And part of me thinks that you and I are selling different things, and if mine's a 4 days, bring your tent.
yeah,
It's not quite as easy to be like, oh, I'm just gonna last minute gonna go to a festival. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
Whereas Damnation is a bit easier to be like, right, I'm getting on booking.com, I'm gonna go.
yeah, yeah. Or
You
if you're
can
in
do you
Manchester,
can do
because
something
like
for days.
Manchester itself
Yeah,
could sell Damnation pretty easily with the scene that's there. You can't just decide on a Friday, ah fuck it, you know what, I'm gonna expect. We saw a mad spike in the last day. I mean, like maybe 100 tickets sold on the Friday for the Saturday. Now, people were clearly getting FOMO from the Instagram
yeah,
and the Facebook, like, fuck it, you know what? I kind of forgot about it, or I wasn't that bothered about other pals were there, or they'd heard that the problems for the previous year had been resolved, or whatever. I don't know what the thinking was behind it. But that's huge spike. And that's like 8 grand worth of ticket sales done in an afternoon where you're a bit like you're already like it's all done and dusted and not 8 grand ticket sales come in. So aye, I'm hoping that happens again as well and it really takes up. I mean, it's close to sell it as we would get, but it's aye, it's been great. The one thing I've been tussling with this, Paul and I have been tussling with this quite a bit. It's like we want to do given the fact that Damnation has sold so well this year, is a thank you to everybody supporters. And the fact that this is the last night of Salvation in this context is everyone who has a night of Salvation ticket has a +1. So if you've got a night of Salvation ticket, you can bring along a friend with you at no extra cost. Now, on the face of it, you're a bit like, well, what would be the issue with that? And it's that negativity of people going, oh, I just bought my ticket and I could have got one off my friend, or I only come to Damnation. I supported you, but you're not giving me the chance to bring across along my friend. And that's the only thing that's held us back so far with this because you're a bit like there's no upside for us in a sense. We're not asking. It's not a buy one get one free. It's not a get one at a discount rate. There's not like it's some sort of winter special. It's if you bought a ticket to support the Friday, we have the capacity to allow more people into the venue. And here's a thank you. You don't need to pay booking fee. There's no extra money in it for us whatsoever. But it just means we can say thanks for the support we've had in a year that we really need it. So that if you listen to this on Thursday, that should have happened by Wednesday night. So I suppose we will have seen by this point if what that reaction is like. I'm hoping that people see it for exactly what it is. A thank you, and it's not a case of oh my god, look at the state of Damnation, or they can't even get by with getting people in for free. But I feel that just the way I've seen the internet in the last 19 years, that you are going to have some angle that somebody finds a way to turn it into a negative that you just can't even get a head round.
yeah. Mate, it sounds like a great idea to me, and it's a nice thing to do, I think, for your fans. I mean, I just found out about it here
Yeah,
now. Like, I didn't know about this.
and that is an unusual one, and we're going to schedule, and we're trying to, like, because we need to make, how do you make this happen? I mean, how do you get about it? You can't allow yourself to get scammed, so you can't just put out a code, and then people can just scam and then start sending about. You can't allow, you can't, and a thing that I'm pretty steadfast with is, well, if you support us on day one, there will never be a situation where you get a ticket cheaper than you could have got it on day one. You don't get the if you suppose day one, that's the best it's going to get, which is why it was not a case of, oh, let's do it as a thank you, everybody. If you've got a Damnation ticket, you can get the Night of Salvation for £30. If you've done, if you've supported, you can pay a booking fee and get it. That's why it had to be quite clear cut that this is for the people that have supported the Friday. You can come along. We'll see not an extra £1 from this thing whatsoever, but hopefully the bands play to bigger crowds. The fans come in and enjoy it. The venue's full, great atmosphere. And again, it's with 2025 in mind that we want people to come and have the best time. We want the bands to come and have the best time. We want agents to be like, oh, the band's playing a lot of people. So whether that it's currently at 2,000 people or if we can, let's say another 500 people take it up in that and you get a bit more of a crowd in that Friday, then great. That's the way we want to do it. We can't do that the Saturday. That's the second part of this. There is no capacity to do that. You can't go to almost 5,000 people and say, oh, everyone bring a plus one in a 6,000 capacity room, you know? So it's the Friday's the only option we've got. And if you support us just on a Saturday and you're like, well, I don't gain anything for this, then, well, apologies first and foremost. But ultimately, you can't always do something that's going to please everyone.
No, absolutely. Good for you, man. Good for you.
We'll see. We'll see.
Do you
But
know,
time I see you Friday at 3 p.m., like, that was the worst decision. That was the worst decision we ever made. We had
thing,
fucking bots, we had scam artists, we had everybody ripping the cunt at us.
so as you were talking, then I was thinking, fuck, I haven't actually got any tickets for Damnation, and I, you know that thing where just before the festival, every prick on the planet asks you a question, right? Everyone's sending you WhatsApps, everyone's calling you. They've all
Yeah,
got fucking questions.
yeah,
Where can I park? How do I don't mean like Cradle of Filth. I mean
yeah,
your best mate, your brother. It's like, I mean, not my brother because he works for me, but like everyone, my dad loves a fucking last minute question.
yeah.
Everyone's got a question. So my question for you, Gav, is how the fuck do I get into Damnation?
You go to the door at 3 p.m., you go, I do a podcast with him.
Okay, great. I can bring my three mates in on that as
You
well.
bring your three mates in. No, there'll be a list. There'll be a list of you on it, son. So, and also, while we're on this, bring the banner. Bring the two promoters, one pod banner.
Mate, I can you see my background now?
Yeah.
I am not at home. I'm not in Bristol. I'm at my mum and dad's house. The fucking banner is in Bristol. The banner is
the,
not fucking coming.
the banner idea is done. I was a bit like, I've just had today the two promoters, one pod merch delivered. So the white t-shirts, some towels, and I believe the Tin Tin ones are getting sent. So I thought, no, it'd be nice at that bit, having the banner up behind it.
I fucking told you not to give me the banner, didn't I? If the banner was, it could be in your little electric van now.
It could be an electric van. Yeah, where are we now? No, right, okay. We'll go without the banner, James. Okay.
Sorry, this is not happening. It's 2 hours south of where I currently am. So,
Don't worry about it. It's just a wee podcast. It doesn't need the priority or you any of your time and attention, mate. You enjoy your holiday, okay?
mate, I'm on my way to Damnation. It's like the long track north.
Aye, aye. So that's how things are shaping up for this year. I spoke earlier about next year. We are going to tickets are going to go on sale on Monday morning. The plan is to put them on sale at secure your ticket for £5. And another thing we're going to do, it's pretty much unheard in this industry, we're going to try and reduce the booking fee. We're in talks with Skidwood at the minute to bring it below 10%. So if you buy your early bird ticket and you secure it for £5, hopefully we're going to have the booking fee reduced on the full ticket price to less than the 10% as well. So you should hopefully be able to get the whole thing for less than 15 quid. That gets you secured to come next year. And then your 10 installment probably payments coming out like a Netflix subscription, and that gets you in. We had a huge uptake in that last year. It really set the tone for the entire year. I know I'm saying like, oh, we could have sold it, but that aside, who gives a shit, to be honest, in comparison to having a full year where you know you're not losing money
Yeah.
is fucking golden. It's great. I mean, I'm sure whatever's left in my hair, there's more of it than I would have been if I was panicking about paying bills for the whole year. So please, we are trying to make this as cost effective and as easy on the purse or wallet as possible. If you can support us next week, Monday, with a fiver plus a booking fee to get your ticket secured for the 2 day festival next year, please do.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything you feel that the people need to know, or are we good to go? Are we good to get in the queue?
I think we're good
Get
to. I
in.
think we're good to start queuing. I mean, as I
Two
said,
pints, 2 pints of holy goat. That's the first thing we all do is get a fucking 2 pint holy goat.
that Holy
Uh,
Ghost stuff. The first year they came, right? So they've no experience of operating in an arena at all. They're a very boutique wee unit in Dundee, focusing on quality and nothing but quality, which is why it can cost you like £11 a bottle of beer. And then next thing you know, they're exposed to an arena. They showed up with these kegs in the arena. They kind of laughed at them when they showed up. Like, what are you going to do with them? I mean, like, oh, this is like fucking, I don't know, 500 pints. Aye, very good, pal. Sold it, sold it on Friday. There wasn't even a single pint available for the people on Saturday. Last year came back down 3 times the stock, sold out by noon on a Saturday. So they said now they've brought 3 times the stock of the stock they brought last year. So they are confident that this porter, this sours and our IPA is going to be there. That if people hear your battle cry, they come in and do the 2 pinters. No one has seen Cradle of Filth, but everyone is going to be fucking steaming.
Steaming and watching Cradle of Filth would be great.
You
Happy
know, you'll
days.
make it. You're a fucking absolute machine. So, aye, that's where we are with that. Come along, guys. Join us. It's going to be a cracker. We won't have a two promoters, one pod banner there. Everything else will be there. Final,
Absolutely.
final shout. Second sponsor, and I've said this earlier. Download the app. It is Meliora, the Ghost album. Meliora.events. They do festival apps. Our app's an absolute peach. I believe Radar are now on the hunt for an app for themselves. If you're another event, huge or similar size to ourselves, it is affordable. All the features that I talked about earlier, your offline Clash Finder, uploading maps, getting news, notification of people, ticket news is all available. Check them out. Go and support them. Small company doing good things. So check them out.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay,
On the
on the
record,
record. You want to go? You want to go first?
I'll go first. I noticed, like, I was going, let's do a Damnation one, and then I noticed you put a really fucking pretty terrible band, and I was like, okay,
Fucking wow,
it
wow.
might as well be fucking Red Hot Chili Peppers, give it away. And I
Oh
thought, like,
my God.
okay, if we're just doing whatever the fuck we want, I am going with Halsey, and I am not a woman, I'm a god. And I think it's about as good as pop gets because the music behind it's by Trent Reznor, and you can sense it. It's the best of pop with that whole sort of atmospheric Trent Reznor, Nine Inch Nails goodness. Go give it a listen. You ever listened to Halsey before?
No, I saw you put it in the notes and I had a quick listen. So no, I've never heard that song.
Aye, it's the whole album's great. I keep trying to dip into other albums that she's done, and I don't enjoy them. I'm a bit like, right, okay, it just feels a bit more on the nose pop music that I just like don't mind it, but I would never go back to it. But that album, the whole album, you can just sense that whole Trent Reznor, maybe Atticus Ross as well if he was involved. But it's got that very much that like the soundtrack to The Social Network or that episode of the Bear, where it's just you can sense straight away that that's Trent Reznor's been involved with that. It just a different level of atmosphere with sort of ghost era electronics. So yes, go and check it out. And so who's the band do you like us to listen to, James?
Mate, what I mean, this is wild that you're saying this. Like, so my choice is the Manic Street Preachers. The Holy Bible by the Manic Street Preachers is in my top 5 albums of all time. This is not like a fucking. It's not like I like this band a little bit. When they were at their best, in the sort of mid 90s, they were an incredible band. Um, the song I'm going to choose is Faster, but I could have chosen any song off this album. And one thing I was going to say, which you've now made me want to say even more, is that I think they're very misunderstood
Yeah.
because they followed this album up, and this album is dark. It's catchy and poppy in a way, but it's so dark and so fucking sad and um like just black. They followed this album up with like 2 albums of pop songs and indie pop songs, really. So I think a lot of people came in on something like "If You Tolerate This, Then Your Children Will Be Next," which is like
That's
2 albums later, and that is like they kind of lost their way a little bit in that mid period. Having said that, I'm still a Mannix fan now, and I still listen to their new stuff. But the Holy Bible is fucking brilliant. The album before it, I think it's called Gold Against Souls, amazing. The debut album was amazing. First 4 albums, Mannix, are fucking brilliant.
aye.
Absolutely brilliant.
Aye.
Are you
I
just
mean,
winding me up? Are you winding me
no,
up?
no. In fact, I fucking love it when you get one of your band. Are you fucking with you? It's like you going for the Wombats. People come in defending the honour of the Wombats. It's like, come on, I'm not that bad. Mannix, I don't know. I feel like I went to college with a bunch of guys that was like the Holy Bible was the actual fucking Bible, and I don't know. Maybe I'll go and check. I did come in through if you tolerate this, your children will be next route. Really overdone. It was one of the tracks you just fucking hell felt like you could not switch on the TV without that being played at you. Saw them live a couple of times. They'd never done anything for me live, to be fair, but they were quite wet. And ultimately, Radiohead are just so much better in every way.
Well, look, I think that I'm not going to compare it to Radiohead because I think it's an unfair comparison. They're doing something
Mate, I was
different.
just throwing out the
But
bait. I was throwing out the bait.
now, I actually saw.
Can we have a quick 30 seconds, like fucking a sidebar? Radiohead are one of the greatest bands in the world, though. Yeah, we accept that.
Agreed.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. We got common ground. I like common ground there.
Yeah, yeah, I absolutely agree. I've been listening to, so he's got a new band, Tom York, called The Smile.
Right.
We'll talk about them another day, but they've released two albums this year and they're both brilliant. But look, the Manics back at when you said they're a bit shit live, I've actually seen them latter day Manics, and I thought, fuck me, this is okay. It's not great. But when they were back then, they were like fire. It was like fucking balaclavas on top of the pops, and they were like a dangerous band. They were like the UK's version of like,
And then guitarist Richie or something just disappeared, and
yeah,
there's like this whole myth about where the fuck he is, dead or somewhere in fucking the Caribbean somewhere, living another life.
yeah. I mean, I think I guess they don't know. I think he's probably dead. But yeah, he wrote most of the lyrics on this album. Seriously, I think me and you talked recently about how we were going to try and talk about on the record each week what we thought the week before, because that might be interesting. I want you to listen to this song, Faster by the Manics.
Yeah, I bet
Tell
you
me you're honest.
because
Tell me you're honest.
the reason why that idea kind of collapsed in its arse is because you don't listen to any of them. So it would just
Right,
be me making the effort as usual, along with everything else, to listen to your
mate.
song, and then you come in and going, "Oh,
Oh,
Modest
God.
Mouse. Oh, did you recommend Modest Mouse, Gav? I thought you said Collie Molly." And then away you go.
Right, look, I've already listened to fucking Halsey, but you can have my review next week alongside my review of Damnation and how
Well,
that went.
just when you come to Damnation, just remember I really enjoyed Manic Street Preachers, and I appreciate all your opinion and input and everything. Okay.
Good.
On that note, I will see you on Friday, big man. Let's go.
Yes, mate, I'll be there.